Hey everyone, in the previous tutorial we installed IntelliJ IDEA and learned how to create and run our first Java program using an IDE. Now that we know how to execute code, it's time to understand the foundational building blocks that make up every Java program. Think of this as learning the grammar rules of the language. In this tutorial, we will learn about variables, keywords, identifiers, rules for creating valid identifiers, and Java naming conventions followed by professional developers. Understanding these fundamentals now will make every single upcoming Java topic much easier to grasp. Let's get started. Everything we create in Java needs a name, whether it's a variable, a method, a class, or an interface, we need a way to identify it. That's why understanding identifiers is one of the first steps in learning Java. But before we talk about identifiers, let's first understand variables. Imagine you are building a student management system. Every student has a name, roll number, and age. Your program needs a way to remember these details so it can display them, update them, or use them later in calculations and decisions. Where does your program store this information? It stores it in variables. Behind the scenes, when you create a variable, the computer reserves a small space in its memory to store that value. The variable's name acts like a label on a folder, helping your program find and use the stored data whenever it is needed. In simple terms, a variable is a named location in memory that stores a value, allowing your program to save, access, and modify data throughout its execution. In Java, we create a variable like this: int age is equal to 25. Let's understand each part. Int is the data type. It tells Java this memory slot will hold an integer, that is a whole number. Age is the variable name. This specific name is what we call an identifier. The assignment operator equal to tells Java to put the value on the right into the memory location on the left. 25 is the actual value being stored. And the semicolon acts as the period, marking the end of our instruction statement. We will learn more about data types and operators in upcoming tutorials. For now, let's focus on the name age. This name is called an identifier. An identifier is simply the name we give to different elements in a Java program. For example, the names of variables, methods, classes, and interfaces are all identifiers. Some examples are age, student name, calculate salary, employee, or runnable. Can we choose any name we like? Not quite. The Java compiler enforces a few strict rules for legal identifiers. If you break these, your code will not compile. Let's check those rules. Identifier name cannot start with a number. Writing int age is valid, but writing int1 age is invalid. Let's try this out in IntelliJ. There is no error. IntelliJ immediately reports an error because identifiers cannot start with digits. The first character must be a letter, an underscore, or a dollar sign. So, int age, int underscore age, and int dollar age are all technically legal. However, professional developers almost always start with a letter because it keeps the code clean and readable. After the first character, you can use any combination of letters, numbers, underscores, or dollar signs. For example, names like student1, employee 2026, or version underscore 2 are completely fine. Special characters and spaces are strictly forbidden. You cannot use symbols like hash, at the rate, percentage, periods, or hyphens. So, employee dash name or employee name employee space name are invalid. If we remove this number, dash and space, we can see there is no error. I have redefined age 2 times, so it's showing an error. I will just delete one of them. Identifiers are case sensitive. To Java, age in small case and age in capital case are two completely different variables. We can't use a Java keyword as an identifier. For example, this class is a keyword. Let me just create one variable with class name. We can see an error. Let's understand what keywords are. Keywords are reserved words that already have a predefined built-in meaning in Java. Because the language relies on them to function, you cannot use them as names for your own variables or classes. Some common examples include int, class, public, static, and void. For example, if you try to write int class is equal to 10, this results in a compilation error because class is a Java keyword. Here is the list of Java keywords. Don't worry about memorizing all of them today. You will learn them completely naturally as we build projects throughout this course. If you have looked at recent Java code online, you might have seen something like where employee age is equal to 25. Starting with newer versions of Java, the compiler can automatically detect the type using the where keyword feature. We will dedicate a whole tutorial to how this works later on. For now, we will explicitly write out types like int so you get comfortable with the core fundamentals. Everything we have discussed so far are compiler rules. If you break these rules, your program won't compile. But there is another set of rules called naming conventions. These are recommendations followed by the global developer community to ensure code is clean, professional, and easy to maintain. The compiler won't punish you for breaking these, but your teammates might. Let's look at the standards used by professionals. Class names use PascalCase. PascalCase is also commonly called upper camelCase, and camelCase is sometimes called lower camelCase. This means the first letter should be uppercase, and if several words are linked together to form the name, then the first letter of the inner word should be uppercase. Class names are usually nouns because they represent objects or concepts. Examples: student, bank account, order details. Interfaces follow the same naming style, that is PascalCase. This means the first letter should be uppercase, and if several words are linked together to form the name, then the first letter of the inner words should be uppercase. Some interfaces describe a capability and often ends with able, such as runnable, comparable, or printable. Others represent collections or concepts, such as list, map, set, or queue. The important thing to remember is that both class and interface names should be meaningful and follow the PascalCase naming convention. Method names use camelCase. This means the first word starts with a lowercase letter and each additional word begins with an uppercase letter. Here are some common naming practices followed by Java developers for method names. A method usually performs an action, so its name often starts with a verb. Examples: save employee or calculate salary. Avoid abbreviations and acronyms for method names. Instead of cal int rt, prefer calculate interest rate. Clear names make your code much easier to understand. Prefix Boolean methods with is, has, or can. Example: is running, has permission, or can dance. These names read naturally and immediately tell us that the method returns a Boolean value. Choose names that are descriptive without including unnecessary implementation details. Instead of fetch employee details from DB, prefer fetch employee details. The method name should describe what it does, not how it does it. Variable names use camelCase. This means the first word starts with a lowercase letter and each additional word begins with an uppercase letter. Here are some common naming practices followed by Java developers for variable names. Compare writing int x versus int employee age. The second one tells anyone reading your code exactly what memory is being tracked. Always aim for meaningful names over short abbreviations. Choose names that are descriptive without being unnecessarily long. For example, account balance is much better than current account balance of customer. Names like A, X, or N don't tell us what the variable represents. The only common exception is loop counters, where short names like I or J are widely accepted. For example, for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus. Don't worry if this loop syntax looks confusing right now. We will dedicate an entire tutorial to loops very soon. For now, just focus on how that little variable I is named. Using meaningful variable names is one of the easiest ways to make your code more readable and professional. Modern IDEs like IntelliJ IDEA can suggest variable names, but choosing clear and meaningful names is still an important programming skill. Constants are created by marking variables static and final. When a value is never meant to change throughout your program, it's a constant. These are written in all caps with words separated by underscores. Example, static final int max underscore width is equal to 100. We will learn what static and final mean in upcoming tutorials. For now, simply remember the naming style. One habit that will improve your code immediately is choosing meaningful names. Writing code usually takes less time than reading and maintaining it. Good names make your code easier for you and everyone else on your team to understand. Let's quickly recap what we learned today. A variable stores a value. An identifier is the name we give to variables, methods, classes, and other program elements. Identifiers must follow Java's naming rules. Keywords are reserved words and cannot be used as identifiers. Java developers follow naming conventions to write clean and readable code. And modern Java includes features like var, which we will learn later. In the next tutorial, we will explore Java data types and understand why Java provides different types such as int, double, char, and boolean. Before you go, here is a quick challenge for you. Can you think of one legal identifier and one illegal identifier? Write them in the comments, and if it's illegal, explain which Java naming rule it breaks. Thank you for watching. Keep learning, keep growing, and stay connected for more updates.